AITA for being hesitant about allowing my ex to reconnect with our daughter after a 5-year absence. I, 29F, have a 5-year-old daughter with my ex-fiancé, 32M. We were engaged but had never planned to have children before marriage, or at least for a few more years. I was on birth control, and he used protection occasionally, but I still ended up pregnant. Since the pregnancy was unplanned, we considered abortion. However, he was more inclined to make it work, so we decided to keep the baby. Although I wasn't emotionally prepared, he believed that love could make everything work. Fast forward 6 months into the pregnancy, he began to change. He would give me the silent treatment if I did something he didn't like. He wouldn't engage in any conversations about the baby and would yell at me if I asked what was wrong. When I was almost 8 months pregnant, he told me he wasn't ready to be a father and couldn't manage both fatherhood and his career. I was scared to be a single mother, so I told him I could take care of our baby and be a stay-at-home mom until things got better for him. However, he refused and made it clear that everything was over between us. Since the house was his, I left and went to live with my mom until I found a place of my own. I gave birth to my baby girl, and he never came to see her. His mother and sister were there for me, and they remain part of my daughter's life to this day. As for him, he gave up his parental rights and granted me full legal custody, but agreed to contribute financially through child support. He voluntarily provides financial support in an amicable arrangement. I'm not proud of it, but there were nights when I called him just to ask why he did this to us. Although I wasn't ready, seeing him happy and excited made me think we could make it work together. He never really answered my calls. We communicated through his mother or sister or via email. I love my baby and will never see her as a mistake. I'm doing my best to be the best mother she deserves. I now have a good-paying job and everything is better than before. However, after 5 years and just when I finally feel like I've got my life together, he wants to get involved again. He's been calling and texting me for a week now. He doesn't express any regret and isn't asking. He's telling me that he has the right to see his daughter and be part of her life. How can I trust that he won't wake up one day and decide that being in her life is a mistake and disappear again? He can do that to me, but I don't want my daughter to get hurt. I told him he could see her, but not on his terms. He wants more than just to see her. He even threatened that if I don't agree, he has no problem telling her in the future that I'm the reason she grew up without a father. His mother and even my own mother want me to let him into our daughter's life without any conditions. I'm not comfortable with that because I know him. Would I be the asshole if I decide what's best for our daughter, or should I just suck it up and let him in? Relevant comments. What the hell changed? Exactly, I don't know how. He never answered my calls for 2 years and never wanted to see her for 5 years, and now out of nowhere he's blowing up my phone demanding a relationship with her and expecting me to just let him in. Thank you for the advice. Downvoted comment, commenter. I take it that you trust your mother, that she knows everything that happened just as much as you do, that you don't think she has any malice towards you or your daughter. If that is the case, then it should at least give you pause to question why it is she does not agree with you on this matter, and you should at least speak to her and ask her what her reasons are. This has nothing to do with what you think he deserves. This is entirely about would it be beneficial for your daughter to have a positive relationship with her father and to have him as a presence in her life. You have no right to deny that to your child, and if he does tell her you are the reason she grew up without a father, that will be 100% the truth. Uop. My mother hates to see her daughter being a single mom. I'll be honest here. My family felt ashamed to have a pregnant daughter outside of marriage. She not only wants him back in my daughter's life, but she also wishes to see us back together. As for his mother, it's his mother. I don't need to say more. Update. He persisted with the calls and texts, and I read some comments questioning why he suddenly wanted to be involved in my daughter's life. Consequently, I agreed to meet with him yesterday to discuss everything. Our conversation lasted about 30 minutes. During this time, I tried to explain that he had legally relinquished his parental rights years ago and therefore had no grounds for his threats since he has no legal right to see her without my consent. Meanwhile, he was more focused on commenting that I hadn't changed and complimenting my body. His remarks became increasingly inappropriate, prompting me to decide to leave. However, I noticed he was wearing a ring on his right hand and asked him about it. He revealed that he had proposed a few weeks ago but felt he might have rushed into it. I inquired if his fiancée knew about my daughter and if that was the reason for his sudden interest. He said she still didn't know and claimed he genuinely wanted to be part of his daughter's life. Despite his claims, he spent the entire 30 minutes flirting shamelessly, showing no real interest in getting involved with our daughter. I told him to forget about trying to see her, but if he insisted, we could go before a judge who would likely dismiss his case. He then threatened to cut off financial support, to which I responded that I never truly needed his assistance. The occasional $1,000 he sent via his sister once or twice a year was negligible, and I offered to return the money if he wanted it back. Now I understand what I did wrong, but it was the only way to get the answer I needed. On my way home, I called his sister and lied about how our meeting went. I told her that he had revealed everything and mentioned how his fiancée encourages him to be a better person, which I believed was the reason he wanted to be involved in our daughter's life, a positive development. His sister then divulged everything I needed to know. She explained that his fiancée has a good heart and was upset when she found out he had a daughter he had never met. She essentially wouldn't have accepted his proposal if he hadn't promised to try and fix things with his daughter. So, both his mother and sister knew the real reason he wanted to reconnect with our daughter, and his mother even encouraged me to let him back into our lives without being honest about it. This situation wasn't about my daughter. It was about him trying to impress his fiancée, who was horrified that he wanted nothing to do with his daughter. My mother understands the situation now, but his mother called the same day asking what the plan was moving forward. I told her there was no plan. He could have simply given me full custody, but instead, he chose to sign away his parental rights because he wanted nothing to do with her. He seemed perfectly fine with their non-existent relationship. She tried to persuade me to reconsider, arguing that ultimately it should be my daughter's decision. But my daughter is only 5 years old. What decision could she possibly make? I made it clear to his mother that neither she nor her daughter are legally part of my child's family, and from now on, there would be no alone time with her. If they continue to pressure me, I can easily cut them out of our lives. I will discuss this with a lawyer, though. I have everything documented, and I'm confident he doesn't have a leg to stand on, but it's best to be prepared in case he tries something. Let me share some of his texts that make me very tempted to get his fiancée's number and send her some screenshots. English isn't our first language, so I've translated them for you. Who sees you now would never tell you weren't ready for this. You look happier. You know, I really didn't know how much I missed you until I saw you today. Good night, beautiful. Kiss, my daughter's name, for me. I don't know if I'm overreacting, but if my fiancé texted his ex this way, I certainly wouldn't find it acceptable. By the way, with him back in the picture, I've realized that I never truly dealt with the way he broke my heart. Maybe I cried, but I had to figure out my life as quickly as possible for the sake of my daughter. When I gave birth, my thoughts were entirely focused on her. Even the nights I called him, it was never about me, it was always about us. I was scared and not ready to be a mom, but now that I'm a mother, I've never felt this strong. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say here, but I'm glad with how my life has turned out. Okay, next story. My son broke down at school, thinking I hadn't shown up for his awards ceremony, and I feel like a terrible parent. Today, I, 38F, attended my son's 9 award ceremony. I divorced my ex-husband 3 years ago and have been raising my 5 children, 20, 17, 16, 12, and 9, on my own since. My ex moved to another state right after the divorce and has only paid a bare minimum amount of child support since then. On top of this, I'm struggling with depression and anxiety, exacerbated by a toxic relationship that I am currently trying to end for the sake of my mental health. My ex only visits a couple of times a year and sees the children during those visits. Therefore, it falls entirely on me to support them in everything they need. Over the past few years, I haven't been the best at attending all of their school events unless they are outside of work or school hours. They are involved in various activities like band, drama club, book club, orchestra, anime club, etc., and I spend my evenings picking them up, dropping them off, attending concerts, and more. Last year, I attended my youngest son's award ceremony, and he was happy and surprised to see me there. When I asked why he was surprised, he said that I hadn't come to these events in a while. That broke my heart, but I promised myself that I wouldn't miss another one. This year, I took the day off work and showed up right before the ceremony started. I couldn't find him in the sea of kids, but waited until they called him up. I cheered for him, but he seemed sad walking across the stage. I noted where he went to sit and made a beeline for him as soon as the ceremony was over. When I reached him, his teacher was also approaching him, and he had his head on the table. The teacher and I both called his name at the same time. He looked up with swollen eyes and was crying because he thought his mom didn't show up. When he finally saw me, he cried even harder and hugged me tightly. He could only say that he thought I didn't come. I feel like the worst parent alive right now. He had gotten so used to me not coming to his daytime events or volunteering for school activities like field day that he had lost faith in me being there for him. I hate myself for having to choose work because I can barely afford groceries after rent and bills. I hate myself for feeling overwhelmed when he's not feeling well at school, and they want me to pick him up, which gives me anxiety about my job security. My teenagers are pretty independent and don't need me as much, but he's the one suffering from the lack of individual attention. I don't know what to do at this point. Edit update. Thank you so much, everyone, for all the kind words. It's been an overwhelming day, but I did check him out of school and took him for ice cream. Just the two of us. We made some silly videos to help him unwind. I appreciate all of the support, as I was really feeling down. I took some of your suggestions and talked to my older kids. They truly are amazing and reassured me that they would help however they could. They also promised not to ignore him as much while they're spending time with each other and their friends. I'm taking all of your suggestions into consideration and have decided to set Saturdays aside as family day. We'll spend this time watching movies, playing games, or binge-watching their favorite shows together. As for my youngest, we are going to start spending more one-on-one time together. I understand that all my children need me, but my youngest doesn't have much of a social life yet, unlike his older siblings who have friends and social lives. Yes, he is grieving the loss of his dad's presence. It was truly helpful to hear some of you express these feelings from your own childhood, and how much you appreciate your moms as adults. I just pray that I can learn to minimize his pain now and help him understand later. How do you like these stories? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Love you.